Welcome to the Safety Map podcast. I'm Alyssa Decker, founder and developer of the Safety Map framework, and this is where we talk about how safety, not performance, is the foundation of healing. We're talking about healing that goes beyond coping skills and into structural change. I'm so glad you're here. Have you ever had a reaction that felt bigger than the moment? Like, even as you're having the reaction, you're aware that it's out of proportion to what actually happened. In other words, your response is bigger, louder, more intense, or your withdrawal is more complete and instant than perhaps the actual situation in front of you warranted. If that's you, then you're in the right place, because that's what we're going to discuss on this episode of the Safety Map podcast. Hey, Alyssa here. Thanks for joining me for another episode of the Safety Map podcast. If you are enjoying this content, if you're learning something here, or even just identifying with what we've been talking about, please take a moment to subscribe or follow on whatever platform you're currently listening in on. This really helps other people find the content, and it makes sure that you don't miss a single upcoming episode. Thank you so much. Now back to today's episode. Here's how this shows up. Okay, now if you're anything like me, you've probably had dozens of these moments throughout your life. You can probably name a dozen right now if I asked you. Moments where someone says something and your whole body tightens, even though what they said wasn't really all that threatening. Or moments when someone withdraws or pulls back just slightly and your whole body is instantly on high alert. Or a disagreement about something simple like who folds the laundry leads to such an explosive reaction. Part of you knows this reaction does not match what's actually happening now in this moment. Here's what's happening. Your body is not always reacting to a threat that's actually in front of you. Your body is reacting to what it predicts is about to happen. It's reacting based on what past experiences have taught it likely comes next. The last time this thing happened, the last time someone made this facial expression, the last time someone yelled, the last time this thing came next. Disconnection came next. Anger came next. Harm came next. These reactions are not random, and they're not overreactions in the way most people think. These reactions make sense. Just maybe not for the present moment. They make sense because your system is using previous data to predict the outcome of the current moment or the outcome of the current situation. For many of us, this goes all the way back to childhood. Now, childhood is not actually about self-expression. Childhood is not only about learning or about developing. Childhood, to a nervous system, to your nervous system, was primarily about survival. From the moment you were born, your tiny little baby body was oriented to survival. How long and how loud do I need to cry before someone feeds me? I feel safer when mom picks me up or dad picks me up and holds me to their chest. Your baby body knows from the day you were born that it is fully dependent on others for survival. And it adapts. It learns very, very quickly. If I cry in a certain way, I get fed faster. If I keep crying, someone will eventually check my diaper. When you are a child, you are dependent on your caregivers for connection, for regulation, for your basic needs, for safety. And therefore, as a child growing up, your body is not primarily seeking self-expression or fun or creativity or all the things that we think make up the wonder of childhood. And they can, But your body is primarily seeking this. What do I need to do? How do I need to behave in order to assure that all of my needs are met and I stay connected to my caregivers? When you are a child, disconnection from your caregivers can literally be life-threatening. And your system knows that. And it prepares accordingly. Your nervous system as a child was constantly asking, what must be true? What do I need to do in order to stay safe here? And that question has never changed, even as you have grown and become an adult. As a child, if you are told to be quiet, if you are told to get out of the way, if you were told to not upset anyone, if you were responded to more positively when you didn't voice complaints, if you were only praised when you performed well, if staying small kept you invisible when someone else was angry, if staying hyper aware was what allowed you to get out of the way of someone else's rage, your safety map encoded this behavior keeps me connected. And staying connected to your body is safety. Safety is no meaningful threat exists to my aliveness, identity, or connection, and I am able to fully express myself without rejection or disconnection. So if your body learned stay small, stay invisible, means being safe, guess what? You will probably have a behavior pattern of staying small and keeping yourself invisible. If your body learned as a child that being quiet and helpful and pleasing your parents was the only way to get affection or attention or praise, you may have grown into a people-pleasing adult. If your body learned that being angry got you noticed, got attention, got you what you wanted, your body has learned that anger helps you get your needs met. Adaptation in childhood is not optional. Adaptation means I change my behavior or I change things about myself, how I present to the world, how I interact with the world in order to get what I need, in order to stay safe. And as a child, adaptation is not optional. Sometimes it is the only thing that keeps connection. It is the only thing that gets your needs met. And therefore, it can equal survival for you as a child. Now, all of this means something that we often miss. And that is that as a child, we do not grow up choosing who we want to be. We do not grow up thinking, I am choosing to be a person of character because that matters to me. We don't grow up thinking, I value humor, so I'm going to become a comedian. Instead, in childhood, we're often taught who we need to be, and we will often adapt an identity that helps us survive. Before you have the ability to decide what you value or how you want to show up or what feels aligned for you, you have learned what is necessary for survival. Your system is already organizing around survival. Your identity, to a large extent, is often already formed before you get the opportunity to choose it. This is why so often as adults, we end up feeling like we don't really know who we are, because the identity we adopted to stay safe was not really chosen by us. So if the things that we associate with our identity are in fact survival patterns, and then your survival patterns change, your identity can start to feel quite wobbly. Like, if I change this behavior, if I change this pattern that I find myself in that I don't really like, do I even know who I am anymore? Identity and survival patterns, behavior patterns, can be very linked. Now, as we mature, these patterns of behavior that we had developed in childhood don't disappear. They mature. So if as a child you learned making mom happy means I get dinner faster, or if I perform well, if I have a perfect report card, I get attention, or if I don't please dad, he explodes, or fill in the blank. If your body learned in childhood that a certain behavior keeps you safe, that pattern likely did not disappear when you reached adulthood. It adapted. It matured. It became more socially acceptable. Most behavior patterns like people-pleasing, over-explaining, over-apologizing, over-functioning, explosive anger, all of these patterns were likely formed in childhood. They were developed for your survival, and they continue because your nervous system believes they are essential for your protection. The behavior may look different, but the strategy underneath it is exactly the same. Now, sometimes we do have behavior patterns that don't come from childhood. When something traumatic happens or a rupture in our safety map occurs, this can trigger new patterns. In other words, if something happened that your body was not able to defend against, that your nervous system could not fully protect you from, it will organize a new pattern of behavior that is designed to protect you from a recurrence. If something happens that is overwhelming or feels unsafe or is unpredictable or is emotionally intense, your system automatically begins to learn how to defend against that. And then you develop new threat predictions and new behavior patterns. So if your behavior patterns don't come from childhood, they likely come from adult, traumatic, or repetitively painful experiences that your system is trying to defend against. Here are some examples. If I speak up, I get shut down. If I trust, I get hurt. If there's a conflict, I lose connection. We talked about this a few weeks ago. Agreement doesn't equal safety, but oftentimes our safety map absolutely predicts that it does. So this is why sometimes your reactions feel too big. They feel inappropriate for the moment. Like, I know I'm overreacting right now, but I can't do anything about it. Because your system is not reacting to what happened that moment. It's reacting to what it believes could happen next. It is waking you up. Hello, get ready, defend yourself, time to fight, because danger is right around the corner. Even when it's not. Your body will react in a way that is designed to keep you as safe as possible, just in case that thing happens. Even if that thing was 30 or 40 or 50 years ago. Your nervous system does not track time. Your nervous system does not say, because that happened 3 decades ago, we're safe now. We tell ourselves that intellectually, cognitively, we convince ourselves that there is no current present threat because the threat was 20 or 30 years ago. All your nervous system knows is that in the past, this happened, then that happened. And so every time this happens, we must prepare for that. Because at least once, that is what came next. So your system is not actually asking, what's happening here? It's asking, what does this remind me of? And the last time it was like this, what came next? The good news is, just like your safety map encoded these ruptures, has learned these predictions, has developed these patterns that have been keeping you safe, it can relearn. When we introduce safety to our system, we can show our nervous system through experience, through presence, through new data, that this pattern This prediction is no longer necessary to keep us safe. The threat prediction can update, your nervous system can repair, and it can let go of those patterns of behavior all on its own. When your nervous system releases a protective pattern, you do not have to force yourself to comply. You do not have to strong-arm yourself into change because your nervous system has reorganized your pattern of behavior to match the new threat prediction. This is one of the ways nervous system repair happens. And it is possible no matter what patterns you have learned, no matter what predictions your system has made, no matter what threats, no matter what traumas have happened to you in the past. For some of us, it will take longer. It will take more work. It will take more patience, more compassion for ourselves, more time. But it's possible for everyone. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode of the Safety Map podcast. If you'd like to take the next step in learning how your nervous system works, download the free guide, Calm is Not the Same as Safety. The link is down in the show notes. And at the end of that PDF, I have a very special invitation for you to join me for an upcoming event that I'm hosting. Take a moment to like, subscribe, and share this episode with someone who needs to hear it. And I'll see you next week for the next episode of the Safety Map podcast.